Alright, so we're making some great progress on the Weissenborn project, and over the last few days, if you've been following along, you'll have seen this growing from an idea to a sketch to a foam model to a rigid fiberglass model, and then we've shaped all this out, covered all the fiberglass over with filler, shaped all that down, and I've come up with something that's pretty much our final shape. Yesterday what I was working on was just getting this detail right here, just how the neck blends down into the headstock. Really happy with how this all turned out here. Getting some really nice curves, the whole thing just blends in a beautiful way. So the next thing that we're going to work on is going to be the fretboard, the sound holes and the bridge. So the main thing structurally that I'm going to work on today is going to be just fitting the sound holes, making the recesses of how we're going to mold those sound holes in to the actual guitar. So I've got a few questions today for you, a few things that you maybe can give me your opinion on. So the first thing that I'm going to just talk about is the fretboard. Normally in all our guitars we actually mold the fretboard as part of the entire instrument. So everything is all molded together in one piece in the mold. And I could do that on this as well, but I think just because of how we're building this, just the way this is just one entire big soundboard, I'm going to mold it without a fretboard. So really it's just going to be one top, one big soundboard, and then I'm going to make a fretboard afterwards and put it on in a more conventional manner. So conventional for everybody else, not conventional for us. So this will be the first time we've done a separate fretboard. Questions that I have is scale length. I'm trying to work out, do we go 25, do we go 25 and a half inch on the scale? Most of the Weissenborns that I've been looking at, they've all been 25 inch scale, and that seems to be pretty typical. I guess it's something in my own head. I'm kind of wondering, does that make sense? Because a lot of times you're using heavier gauge strings. Maybe the extra tension of going 25 and a half inch scale might actually be beneficial. So anybody out there who has any insight, any thoughts on that, I'd be very interested to hear before we make any final commitments on a bridge placement. And the other thing I've been looking at is the nut width. That's something that we can kind of modify afterwards anyway, just by string spacing. But looking around about something like 49, 50 millimeter at the nut here. So anybody get any recommendations and thoughts on nut width and bridge spacing, string spacings? I'm always happy to hear on that too. Because it's not an instrument that I have an awful lot of past experience with, or really at all. So I'm learning a lot of this as I go. Another thing that I've been working on is ideas for the bridge design. So I've cut out 3 different bridges, and these are something we've been working on for another guitar as well, and just trying to work out what's exactly the right thing for this. So that's quite similar to what we would use in a lot of our standard guitars. This point here is kind of a signature for Emerald, and this is something I've been working on. It's a little bit different. An extra little flourish on the sides here and the curve, and then the third choice would be that. So you can give me your thoughts, which one you prefer. The other thing that I've got to work out is, do I leave the end of the fretboard just straight? Something that we can decide at a later date, because we're going to be making it as a separate item. Do I just keep a nice straight fretboard? Do I put a curve on it, match here, a little V if we're going like this? So lots of different options there. So that's a couple of things you can maybe give some comments and thoughts on. But what I'm working on today is sound holes. So I've kind of been moving along. I've done a little bit of work already on that, and the sound holes are going to be something like this. When I was initially looking at it, cardboard prototype, we looked at having them a little bit closer to the edge. But then when I started to look at it, I thought actually it'd be really nice to have the wood showing right along the edge. If we go this close to the edge, then we'll be blending that into the black on the side of the guitar, like we do, you know, that fade that we have that runs around. But if we leave a little bit more space, it means we can have like a nice wood veneer or the carbon showing right the way around the frame of the soundboard. So what I've done is I've actually cut this out of rubber, and I'm going to use that really to mould the shape, and I'll show you how to do that in a second. So that's kind of what I'm looking at. I think it just nicely contours the sound holes and nicely fit with the contours of the side of the guitar. They flow nicely along here, and we'll probably extend them on like a little bit as well. So I'm going to get stuck into this, and you can follow along. Okay, so there we are. We've made some nice recesses now, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this rubber to mould a proper recess, and then we'll be able to round and shape that off, and that recess will become an indent in the mould, and then whenever we mould the guitar inside that, we'll create that shape of that sound hole in advance, and it actually will create quite a bit of strength around there as well. So rather than just cutting a hole out, we're going to have an edge going in, so that edge creates strength and carbon. So one thing that I really love is these onion boards. We mix a lot of filler here, and I remember I used to have pieces of cardboard, everything that I could get just to mix filler on, and then I discovered these onion boards, and what they are is just multiple layers of paper. So you use it, mix your material, and then just peel off a layer like an onion. So that's fantastic. Very simple thing that stops a lot of wastage and makes life a bit easier. So hopefully that will all filled out really nicely underneath. Inevitably, when you push something solid down into filler like that, you're going to get air bubbles in the bottom, but hopefully it will not be too many. That'll actually work out better than I had hoped. So that gives me a really nice cavity that will create the side wall. So it's just about perfect. Almost one harden a little bit further. So that gives a nice indent. Gives you an idea of what the side holes are going to look like. So I think what I want to do is I want to elongate these holes a little bit. So on the initial one, you can see how I took it kind of into points. Here it's rounded off. So I'm going to have it rounded off at the center, but I'm going to just elongate the hole, bring it out so it angles out and then nicely shapes up out of that hole. You see me a lot of times just sanding things with sandpaper, and I think it gives me these really nice smooth curves. I did what you're using solid tools like a file, end up with kind of hard edges and hard lines. Sandpaper just folded over something that I've shaped a lot of things with, and it just kind of works. So there we are. That's the sound holes worked out, and I haven't spent too much time today on it compared to the pretty long days we spent the first couple of days, but I think I've made some good progress. I'm going to get back to some other work for the rest of today, some other projects. But we've got our sound holes, and I think they look really well. Whenever you have those molded in, I think they're going to look really fantastic. So remember what I was asking, your choice on bridge designs. Bridge number 1, point. Bridge number 2, with curve. Bridge number 3, we'll call this the fancy one with some extra curves on the sides. So let me know what you think, and thanks for watching along. Tomorrow we're going to take this and we're going to spray it with polyester primer, get a skin coat over the entire surface, and that's just going to seal all the little air bubbles and pinholes and make a nice even surface for us to be able to make our mold from. So getting there, really excited. Thanks for following along, it's been great to see all the comments. If you happen to be a Weissenborn player, send us some pictures of your instrument and maybe some video of you playing it, that'd be fantastic. If you know any Weissenborn players, make sure to tag them and have them follow them along. So yeah, it's been great to get some emails from some people that are really interested in the instrument already. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Okay, I'll see you tomorrow.